In this tutorial, we're going to cover workday patterns in RosterMate. Workday patterns are a really important part of the system because they allow RosterMate to automate public holiday tables as well as automatically assign hours on the correct days for employees who are applying for leave. We will go over how to set up a workday pattern for each employee, how patterns repeat automatically, and how those patterns are used to automate public holidays and leave. To set up a workday pattern for an employee, head into the Manage tab. From the left-hand list, select an employee. Once their employee card opens, click on the Workdays tab. This is where you will define that employee's regular working pattern. Inside the Workdays calendar, you can left-click on a day to mark it as a working day, right-click on a day to mark it as a non-working day, and right-click again to clear the marking entirely. This lets you quickly build simple or complex working patterns. For each working day, you'll also need to set the number of paid hours. This part is very important. You must enter the number of hours the employee gets paid for, not the number of hours they are physically at work. For example, Bob works a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift. That's a total of 8 hours at work. However, under New Zealand law, Bob should get one unpaid 30-minute break. So Bob would actually be paid for 7.5 hours, and that is what we will enter here. Now let's set Bob's pattern. Let's assume that Bob works Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We would set his pattern like this: Monday, on; Tuesday, on; Wednesday, on; Thursday, on; Friday, on; Saturday, off; and Sunday, off. And once that is done, just click the Save Changes button to lock that in. Notice that if we refresh the page and we take a look at Bob's pattern again, you will now see that it repeats forever. That's exactly what we want. RosterMate now understands Bob's regular work schedule. We can also create more complex patterns. Let's say Bob now works a 4 on, 2 off pattern, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once again, that would mean that Bob is at work for 8 hours. And so we enter 7.5 hours due to the unpaid break. Next, we need to think about where Bob currently is in his pattern with respect to the calendar below. If it helps, it is a good idea to double-check the roster to ensure you get this correct. This acts as the anchor point. It looks to me like Bob has had today off, and he returns to work tomorrow. So we will mark today off, tomorrow on. Because he works 4 on, 2 off, then the next 3 days as on, and finally the day before today as off. We can also adjust the hours on specific days in the pattern in the scenario that the employee works a different number of hours on some days. For example, I'm going to say that Bob is generally only paid for 5.5 hours on his 4th working day in the pattern. Now just click Save Changes, and I will refresh the page to take a look at the pattern now. You'll now see that this 4 on, 2 off pattern repeats automatically, including the adjusted hours on that 4th day. As I previously mentioned, once workday patterns are set up, RosterMate will use them to automatically build public holiday tables when it is a public holiday and automatically assign the hours for leave requests. I'm going to quickly fill these out for all of the employees who work part-time or full-time off-camera. Then we will take a look at those automations. First, we will go to the Timesheets tab and navigate back to the fake public holiday we created in the Public Holidays tutorial. Remember to make sure the timesheets for the current day and previous day are completed and approved. This is because RosterMate uses approved timesheet data to determine whether each employee worked or did not work for this public holiday. Once the timesheets are approved, RosterMate will build the table automatically. Here's how it works. RosterMate adds all the employees who would normally work on this day based on the workday patterns we just set. Then it ticks the Worked checkbox for the employees who did work based on the approved day's timesheets. And for employees who did not work, it fills in the paid hours using their workday pattern. Workday Patterns also automates leave requests. If we head to the Leave Management page and open a pending leave request, you'll see a calendar that looks very similar to the Workday pattern calendar. Because the pattern is already set up, you will see that the correct days are automatically selected, and the correct number of paid hours are already filled for each day. You can still manually adjust the hours if needed, or re-pull the pattern at any time before approving the leave. In a previous tutorial, we showed how to fill this calendar out manually. But once Workday patterns are set up, RosterMate does the work for you. That's everything you need to know about Workday patterns. Remember that they are the foundation for public holiday automation, leave automation, and ultimately accurate payroll calculations.